All right, let's talk about how to get started with paper mache. The first step that you need to do is decide what you want to paper mache and what method you want to use. This example that I have here of this whale with old book kind of torn up and glued on top of it, this is an example of a flat method to do paper mache. So it stands up nicely, it's all nice and even thickness around the edge. And in order to do this method, you need to use board. There's another method of paper mache where you just use balled up newspaper to create a more of a three-dimensional paper mache sculpture, like this guy from Adventure Time. You can see it's round and it's not like the flat method. With that method, you ball up newspaper to kind of create the shape of your body. So if you look at the steps here, are the shape of what you're going to cover with the glue and the newsprint. You can see that this student started with just balled up newspaper, taping it all together, and then you cover it with glue, and the last step is painting it. So you would just use regular newspaper, and if I were doing the shape of this character here, I would have to ball up the newspaper enough to make this main shape of the body. Now for the legs here, it's more of a kind of a twisting shape. So you can try to twist your paper mache, or your newspaper, before you put the glue on it. Once you have the shape you like and you need, you use just regular masking tape to tape it together so it doesn't move around. If you decide you prefer the flat one, I have board that's a lot of different sizes, so depending on the size that you need, you get a piece of board and you sketch out the shape that you would like. So for example, the whale was sketched out on a board, and then you cut one out and you trace it so you have two sides. So I have a nice letter sculpture here to show you how that was done. So there's two letters, the letter N. One was cut out. Make sure when you're cutting out that I would use the edge of any board that you have for a nice straight edge, and a corner. So you don't want to do it like right directly in the middle of a board, because then you get a lot of scraps. And then it's nice to line it up on the edge, because then you have straight edges that you can use on your board. Once you have the shape cut out, you trace it so they match perfectly, and you use these little cups to space it in the middle, so you can see how it's spaced out. You have to be careful because of the thickness here. If it's not the thickness of a whole cup, what you end up needing to do is cutting that cup. So these cups you can see are actually cut so they fit inside nicely. If it's the thickness, if the cup fits in there, you don't have to worry about it. Then you can just tape them in there, and then you tape the other matching shape together, sandwich it together. So you can see how I taped everything down. The last step is just getting this edge in. So you do need to cut the board and fill this hole when you paper mache. And then paper macheing, you take strips and you glue it on top of either your newspaper, your balled up newspaper, or directly on top of your board here. And the goal of that is to unify the whole piece. In the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how to get the glue, dip the newspaper strips in it, and cover your whatever thing that you're covering with your paper mache glue. All right, let's get started.